bond merger, bond merger, bond merger. What's up, my friends? There is nothing funnier than the bond merger moment this episode. Check it out with me. This was just freaking hilarious. Hilarious. Look at him. Look at our boy Red. He red as a tomato. Look at her. Look at her. Look at what Tina. Look at she said. Oh my god, did you two do it? Yo, that is the funniest thing in the world. Bond merger. Bond merger. Bond merger. Oh my god. Look at him. Look at him. Bond merger. She's like, yo, what the F is going on? Oh my god. That is the funniest moment. That is the funniest moment. Legitimately, like, I was dying of laughter as Tina's just like, oh my god, did you guys have the bond merger last night? Now, it's never explicitly said. All Red said was be gentle, and it's hard to know if Yihidra and Red actually, you know, I don't know 100%. But I mean, she locked the door. I mean, I don't know. I would like to think from our part, you know, I would like to think that they did have a merger of bonds. But again, it's hard to specifically say for sure. This episode, though, was pretty good, though. I genuinely like it. I think Tina's brother and family kind of represent what the villains would be in Red's, you know, in Red's mind, in Red's universe. They kind of talk like they are villains or are demons themselves, like overthrowing and getting the demon race out of there and overcoming the demons, and the way they talk about using the mana seeds. It's all very villainy. Then you also have, this episode also had 𝐜𝐴, I think is her name. She's the kind of like the head wizard, the head you know, specialist, whatever, the one that kicked out Yihidra's dad from his position. And here's the deal with her is I actually genuinely like her. Like, I think she is, she definitely has a little bit of a screw loose for sure. But she is super powerful. I kind of thought she would be like this evil being. She's super powerful. She understands that her position is, how do you say it? Where Yihidra's dad may have acted out of self-interest, and when I say self-interest, I mean he may have acted for the people, but may not have gotten everything approved by the king and the imperial family. So they may have saw him in a certain way of like, you're doing too much, but without our approval type thing. And from Yihidra's point of view, all she was seeing is that her dad was pushing to make the best life that he could for the people. But at the same time, is if she was a kid, she may have not understood the intricacies and politics behind the things that he did or didn't do. So when it comes to the 𝐜𝐴 character, I like that Yihidra finally made the first move with Red's advice to say, okay, what if you formed a bond with your nemesis and you guys work together as opposed to being two polar opposites, kind of like not attracting? And I really love that because I think it's true. They both bring something very unique to the table, and this will allow Yihidra to understand 𝐜𝐴, and this will allow 𝐜𝐴 to understand Yihidra. And there's a happy medium there for looking out completely for the people and just trying to do better. And there's another side of it to where having control and having authority and having a process of safety to make sure there's a balance there somewhere in the middle. So I like this 𝐜𝐴 character. I don't think that she's this villain that Yihidra was depicting to us the whole time. You know, I think that there is a method to the madness, you know, as she's been introduced to us. And I like that Red can see that. He's like, yeah, I get it. You know, there's animosity there, what she did to your dad. It's basically like if, you know, someone gets hired and changes the way the company does stuff, but, you know, your parent was fired because that person came in. It's not really that person's fault. in a way that they were fired. You know what I mean? It's whoever owns the company. So in this case, it's the king and the imperial family that decided to get rid of her father. Is not really the 𝐿𝐴𝐻 person. Although, you know, she has her own complaints of like, I didn't like the way your dad did this. Your dad led to this. There's a reason why she was chosen. Her dad was. So, I mean, it's a balance there. And I know it's really hard, especially, you know, for kids. And you kind of grow up with that like hatred in your heart. But I like that she's, you know, at least attempting to do, you know, to form a bond there. So I really love that. And then this episode also put us on to the crystal. And, you know, Yihidra summons Red into the bath. So that was a hilarious scene. And, you know, she is bearing all of her curves. And I was like, God damn, Yihidra, look at you, baby girl. Even Red was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. You know what I mean? I love that. But it put us on to the crystal stuff. And Red took us back to his world where they had bond summons. And essentially, when their bonds were at a certain limit, they could summon the other rangers to themselves. And they showed how like people were at the office and stuff and suddenly like getting beamed and stuff. And just like Red was, and he was like, oh, he's like, my ranger thing is going off. And Logi's like, what? And he's like, bah! And he just gets, you know, summoned to Yihidra's bath. And Yihidra says something like, oh, well, maybe this means that you can go back to your world. And that, you know, again, it's you have to go into what the show is called, right? And the Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. It doesn't necessarily mean he died. He could have very well been summoned through Bond, and it could have been the world, it could have been the god, it could have been something. But I think what's happening, if I had to make a guess, is that we have these two worlds that are working, you know, these two worlds that are operating or spinning in parallel through universes, but they're parallel worlds to each other that may not be like next to each other, but they're parallel worlds to each other on the same frequency. And maybe because of said frequency, they both have some kind of like connection to each other. And when when Red was like summoned, you know, he was summoned to this world based on that, you know, connection, just like he would be summoned anywhere else. And that's my guess at this point, is that he was summoned, or he was, you know, flashed here or something. He wasn't necessarily reincarnated here because obviously, well, he wasn't a baby and all that. So anyways, this episode had a lot of food for thought. I thought it was a really good informational episode, and it did it in a very entertaining way. It had a lot of funny moments with the Bond merger and the bath, and even with Logi. You know, even when Logi, when Red was apologizing or, you know, thanking Logi, and, you know, suddenly he was like, yeah, Logi, whatever, never do that again. And even Logi was like, what was that voice? And then he goes, you know what I mean? Like, Red definitely has something deep and, I don't want to say dark, but he has some kind of like, he has a dog in him somewhere in there, which I genuinely think makes the show better. And if you notice it, it makes the show better. If you don't notice it, then it probably doesn't impact you. But when you notice it, you're like, God damn, okay. So I thought that was a cool moment too. So yeah. All right, my friends, I'll see you guys next week for episode number 7. Peace out.